So this is some pretty good reporting out of CNN, actually. It talks a lot about, it goes over the context, which is, how Trump became obsessed with Portland. Because he did become obsessed with Portland. We all remember how this started. First of all, I want to just say a couple things. Portland has always had like a tradition of protest and the kind of progressive politics that Trump hates. From environmentalism to LGBTQ plus rights. Also, this was the place in 1987 in Portland was the first in the country to declare itself a sanctuary for undocumented immigrants. And the Portland City Council declared its own sanctuary policy in 2017. That's first of all. Portland is also said to be home of one of the oldest cells of the decentralized far-left anti-fascist movement known as Antifa. And when he won in 2016, protests broke out all over the place, including in Portland. And he wanted to shoot people in the legs. He asked his military, can we just shoot them in the legs? Really? No. Jesus. So I remember, and then back then, protesters set up during his family separation. People were protesting at the ICE facility in Portland, calling their demonstration Occupy ICE PDX, trying to get the National Guard in here so bad. And he called Antifa Organization of Terror. As back then, those demonstrations kind of set up the stage for 2020. And 2020 became the flashpoint. That was when the George Floyd protests were going on, when, yes, George Floyd was killed by a white police officer, murdered in Minneapolis, and a bystander caught it on video, got Derek Chauvin's knee on his neck for 9 minutes as he repeated, I can't breathe. That's when the Black Lives Matter protests broke out. And in Portland, we had a lot of opportunists, come to this part of the country and just take advantage of the protests. It happens in all large protests. Sometimes you have these fringe elements that create violence, but for the most part, it was incredibly peaceful. He wanted to bring in the National Guard then. He kept saying, ask on X. He sent in more than 700 federal agents in 2020. The arrival of those agents raised a lot of tensions. Well, because they beat and pepper sprayed, first of all, a veteran in Naval Academy gear. They tear gassed the mayor, Ted Wheeler. Trump protester was shot and killed that August. And then Trump gloated, loved it, when federally deputized law enforcement officers shot his suspected killer. We sent in the U.S. Marshals, Trump said. It took 15 minutes and it was over. Remember Ted Wheeler, he said, support us or stay the hell out of the way. Governor Kate Brown called his actions a blatant abuse of power. There were a bunch of lawsuits aimed at Trump's DHS. And I'm telling you, he's been obsessed with Portland ever since. As his second term got underway, he hadn't forgotten about Portland. It was very clear. The Department of Education released its first list of 5 colleges it would probe over alleged anti-Semitism. Portland State, a large public school with a 91% acceptance rate, was among elite universities like Columbia and Northwestern. Protests against his immigration policies revved up again this summer at the ICE facility. And then he designated Antifa. This is how we've gotten here. He still is seeing footage of 2020 and thinking that's happening today. He's describing fires. Kristi Noem knows better. She was on top of the Portland ICE facility looking down at like a group of 30 protesters here and 15 over here. That was it. That was all that was there during the day. That was it. So you're thinking how dangerous it was and how the leadership is lying about the protesters and the violence and this war ravage and all the rest of this bullshit that's coming out of this administration. It's bullshit. Since the nightly protests began in Portland this June, 40 arrests have been made. That's through early Wednesday. That compares with over 500 people that were arrested in 2020. On Monday night, journalists, protesters, and Trump supporters and onlookers mingled within a single block of the ICE facility. A CNN crew witnessed at that protest height, the crowd numbered around 80 to 100 people. Far fewer than the thousands who gathered nightly in 2020. It's just bullshit. And, because we know he's trying to agitate protesters. That's what he's doing. We know that. He already views us as enemies. So he wants to create the impression of chaos as demonstrations outside Portland's ICE facility to justify more authoritarian power. Yes, he does. Now, 5 years after he introduced a bill to stop the Trump administration from deploying federal forces in Portland, Merkley has another message for his constituents. Do not take the bait. We all know that. That goes for protesters anywhere. That's what they want. And then there's another point. I was watching Rick Wilson's podcast this morning, and he said something that kind of startled me. He said, he talks about them declaring the Insurrection Act, right? And he said, it looks like, that's what they're setting up to do. And we know that. Is what they're kind of building for. But he said, if it's an insurrection they claim, and they're going to treat it as such, then it's an insurrection they shall have. And I know what he's saying. He's saying at that point, people, we have nothing fucking to lose. So I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what this is going to look like going forward. I want to remain peaceful. I love Dr. King, and I respect him so much. That was a different time and in a different situation. And protests didn't need to remain peaceful for change within the government system and apparatus, right? It's very good policy. But when it's a hostile government takeover of citizenry, is it always the best? Tell me. I really need to know this. I mean, I'm really going back and forth in my mind. I mean, seriously. I mean, not just because I'm bipolar, but... Or is it? Please tell me. Thanks for watching my videos.